We don't want to talk about compliance.
Told me one of the best stories I've ever heard, and I hope he tells it tonight.
We're always in the right place at the right time. Everybody in this room is in the right place at the right time every single day.
When I got to meet Mark Zuckerberg when he was 21 years old.
When I'm talking about investing in a new company, it's always in the attorney's best interest to say no, because he died, and it was a little weird to me because, like,
The game of greed, the game of fear.
the ego stuff is what can really hurt people. I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes. All right, who's supposed to be on stage today? I'm not sure. Okay, what do we have here? Silicon Zombies. Woo, okay. Let's see. Oh, I see my friend Alan Mishra in the house.
Who's Alan?
Alan basically cured tennis elbow.
Wow, fantastic.
Platelet-rich plasma was this tiny little concept way back, and then he patented it in the U.S., so...
Alan, wave so everyone can see who you are. There's Alan.
Fantastic.
We have tennis elbow.
Forget Alan, he has Steph with him. What's up, Steph? I have another founder of mine out there in the audience, Rob DeWolf. Where are you, Rob?
Where's Rob?
Oh, Rob might be out at the bar somewhere. Anyway, here we go. Okay, will they be able to watch this? Is this going to be recorded?
We're streaming live, in fact.
Oh, we're live. Okay.
And
Which is pretty cool because
Love it. Live to live.
got like 300 and 400 some odd. You got a killer following, so we're really
Yeah, man.
grateful to have you here.
All right, let's go.
All right, cool. So a couple of housekeeping items. We want to say thank you to our friends at Nicodex. So if you're building product, web or mobile, that's NECODEX.com. And they can also help you understand the entire agentic infrastructure. Speaking of solving tennis elbow, we're solving other great stuff like huge innovations in medical technology, specifically Alzheimer's, dementia, and some other really fascinating stuff. These guys have raised over $250 million. They're being fast-tracked through the FDA, so a lot of people are impacted with Alzheimer's, dementia, and different cancers. Be sure to talk to John after the show. And of course, we've got our friends at TUOM. That's TUOM.com, stands for Transformational Uplifting Outstanding Moods. And so it's a dissolvable oral strip, and it completely changes you for the positive in a natural way. Well, guys, we're so excited. We are raising the stakes here. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Phil Hellmuth and Chris Kelly. And really what we're doing is we're diving into the world of poker, ostensibly. So the game of greed, the game of fear, the game for entrepreneurs, but so much more, because you've got 17 bracelets. You've been kicking ass for many years. So let's have a round of applause for Phil here.
Absolutely. And I just want to say Phil is not going to do a mad dash for the door when this is over. He is going to hang out and talk to you guys. Right, Phil?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so is Chris Kelly. Just so
Where's the door?
All right. It's right there. All right. We can start this interview a lot of ways. We can obviously start talking about poker. We can talk about crypto. We can talk about Phil's investments and Chris's investments. We can talk about their biggest failures. We're going to talk about all those things. But when Phil and I were prepping for tonight, Phil told me one of the best stories I've ever heard, and I hope he tells it tonight as good as he told me over Zoom. But I want you to talk to us about Doyle Brunson. Who was he? Who was he to you? Talk to me about what happened after he died in terms of reconciliation.
Yeah, I mean, Doyle Brunson was the biggest legend in our game, and he was kind of felt like the center of the pokerverse. So he died, and it was a little weird to me because, like, they didn't want anybody to come to the funeral, so that's fine. And then a month later, I came to the World Series, and 28 random people said, "I love you, Phil." And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe now I'm, maybe I've ascended a little bit to the. But Doyle was an amazing guy, and they set up a remembrance for him at noon on a specific day during the series, and I happened to win my 17th World Championship at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. And so I didn't really sleep much, and I went up on stage, and then Todd Brunson's like, "God damn it, Phil, you had to fucking steal the spotlight." And I'm like, what? But Doyle was more like the center of the universe, poker universe. Everybody loved him, and he had time for everybody, and just kind of the beloved man of our entire poker world.
When these 28 people came up to you and said, "I love you," were some of them unkind to you in the past?
Probably. I mean, it's weird because I called my wife because, like, okay, I mean, maybe I don't seem normal to you guys, but I'm like, honey, what the hell is this? People are coming up to me and it's freaking me out, like it. these mind-blowing things happen, right? And then the mind-blowing stuff, you have to try to make sure that you don't get too cocky, right? Like I'll be at the Aria and I see Michael Jordan getting in a limo, and I'm like, oh, he saw me. There's no way he's going to get out of the limo. Jumps up, runs over, Phil, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm just, or these weird things that kind of mind-blowing a little bit. And then
you still seem pretty down to earth, though.
No, I mean, but then you float away. My wife and my friends would say that I'm pretty down to earth. It just so happens to every story I tell, it sounds like I'm bragging. But if that's who you're hanging out with, then you're gonna
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I'm doing the best I can with this stuff and trying to recognize, hey, ego is really bad for all of us, and I have a lot of stories. I mean, I help 36 founders now, and one of them is building $1 trillion company, and I'm preparing them for all the fame that's coming. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, he's 26 years old, has 4 kids, Valor Atomics, and so we're gonna have a working nuclear reactor up in July in Utah, and we're folding up the one in 5, the one that we have now, and we're going to fold it up and fly it on a C-17, and the Secretary of Energy wants to be there, and it's kind of a big deal. And so, yeah, the ego stuff is what can really hurt people. And sort of a lot of people, a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes.
Pride comes before the fall.
Yeah. Too much pride is bad. So one quick story, and I've hijacked the whole goddamn show. It's okay. But I'm doing this event for A-Rod down in Miami, and I'm seeing this thing, and crazy people, Tom Brady, all these people are there. They have a yacht and all this crazy stuff. And afterwards, I go to this club called Mansions. It was kind of a big deal back then. And I get out of my car and I walk to the thing. And a lot of my fans worked at the door of places, right? So they're like, Phil, how's it going? I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that's cool. It's like MJ's in the back. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. There's only one MJ. So he walks me back to MJ. And I'm standing next to MJ, and we're both dancing. And I always tell people that only alpha males dance. That's right to all you fucking people that don't dance out there. Only alpha males dance. So MJ and I are dancing, and I look over and I say, you're the greatest. And he puts his hand up because he hates praise. I hate praise. We all hate praise. We kind of crave it and want it, but then you don't really want to hear it. You know what I mean? Because it can just mess you up. And so he puts his hand up, and I'm like, no, let me finish, MJ. It's like, okay. I'm like, you're the greatest basketball player of all time. You have 6 world championships, but I have 11, motherfucker. And then now that's a high five, right? Because now we can high five and tease each other. But it's just kind of emblematic of someone who's been around for a long time, who does not want praise, especially from people you respect. It's nice to have somebody pat you on the back and say, hey, you've been doing good lately.
You did mention a couple startups that in fact, there's dozens of founders that are lucky enough to call you an advisor. Chris, same thing. So when you guys are looking at companies to invest in or support, is it about the founder? Is it about the upside? Help us unpack a little bit of that.
I mean, look, you always think about the size of the market, but it is always the founder at the end of the day.
Always the founder.
You have to bet on the founder. That's really where you come from. That's where, I had a few founders that made a couple of bets here and there that haven't worked out so well. But when I got to meet Mark Zuckerberg when he was 21 years old, it was pretty quickly, I was like, okay, this guy's going to do amazing things. And, it's just there's some luck to all of these things in terms of how you get connected with people. But ultimately you have to make a call about whether someone's going to change the world or not. And, you try to find people who are trying to change the world.
So that's kind of your way of rationalizing, is that people always say, I'm like, wow, it's cool what you've accomplished. They always say, I was lucky I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, but you have to pick the right things to go forward with too. And the selection you're talking, it's funny. I first got to know about Doyle Brunson from James McManus's books about poker, and he became a legend in part through that and through everything else. And now Phil has ascended to that level, which I think it's important to say too. But ultimately, taking that into other worlds is something that we all want to do.
Right, but to come back to, that's what I kept hearing when I moved to the Bay Area. I was meeting all these fabulous people. We brought our sons to Bing School right away. And then it was always the same thing. I'm lucky I was in the right place at the right time. I heard that over and over. And then I I started thinking about that philosophy a lot for the next couple decades. And then I wrote a book. They were always in the right place at the right time. Everybody in this room is in the right place at the right time every single day. The difference is you were looking for it.
Can I say one thing about Chris? I've known Chris a really long time, since 2009, and he'll probably never tell this story. And if you don't want me to tell the story, I won't either.
Tell it.
Oh yeah, I think you're gonna have to tell.
Remind me where you were working before you went to Facebook.
So no, I was at a company called Spoke Software.
Okay, so he was at Spoke Software. Sean Parker calls him out of the blue and says, listen, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I want you to quit your job. I want you to quit everything you know. Go meet with this kid and talk to him about his new social media platform. Now, Chris talked to all of his mentors and advisors, and 100% of them said, don't leave where you're at. Don't leave. No one knows who this kid is. No one's ever heard of him. And don't listen to Sean. But Chris, he jumped off that cliff. He did. And he was the first executive at Facebook.
General counsel, chief privacy officer, head of mergers and acquisitions, right?
Yeah.
And he wrote every single rule for Facebook back in the day.
We don't want to talk about compliance. I don't know. We'll stay away from that. My best friend is Chamath.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
He pushed you over the edge 4 or 5 times.
Chamath and I had great fights. Is the way that I would put that.
I love Chamath.
Meeting market at that age was that kind of like getting dealt pocket aces, or what would you call that?
I mean, we had a whole bunch of things to do. I mean, the site was college only. There were all sorts of different barriers that sat out there. We had to do strategy sessions on how we were going to beat MySpace, which was the dominant thing at the time. Now you're seeing everybody's MySpace profiles show back up in the Epstein files. But
Here we are live.
We're gonna about the Epstein file.
Can't edit that out.
but we knew that if we had a more identity-based system, that you would be able to kind of interconnect the world in a more trustworthy way eventually.
Yes, it's amazing because like whenever you take a leap or a jump, everybody says it's a bad idea.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody says it's a bad idea. So if I listen to everybody, I mean, I would not be even close to where I am. I'm like, my attorney, why is he telling me this? He's a coward. I mean, very good attorney, but
sometimes you should listen to your attorney. But
Coming from an attorney.
But you have to pick, you have to pick the right attorney. You have to pick an attorney who doesn't always just tell you.
Let me clarify. When I'm talking about investing in a new company, it's always in the attorney's best interest to say no, because if it doesn't work, you're going to remember they said yes. So they always say no.
Can we talk about your Under Armour project? Or?
That's fun. I texted the global head of marketing today. He's in the Bay Area, Sean Eggert. So yeah, that's fun. I just want to say this one thing. I want to come back to this because I love this about everybody being in the right place at the right time. I spent a lot of time thinking about this. And when I wrote my book, Tony Robbins loved it so much, he started telling people to buy my book, #positivity, in his advanced classes. When I found that out, not from Tony, by the way, when I found that out, I was like, oh my God, like, it's when they told me I had a lifetime goal of writing a New York Times bestseller, and HarperCollins called me and said, you hit the list. And you're high for a couple of weeks, because lifetime goal unlocked. And so this was similar, but I just want to explain it to the people in the audience real quick. What does that mean to me? I thought a lot about it, and it's very simple. There's a guy sitting at a dinner table, and he comes up with 8 reasons why he has the perfect sports bar. That guy then lays it out in front of his 2 kids and his wife, and it says, Martha, please pass the peas. That's the surrender that comes from Carl Westcott, who's a Horatio Alger Award winner. I took his Martha, please pass the peas. He's done with the idea. The guy next door, here's the 8 reasons why I'm going to be involved in the perfect sports bar. But he does one thing different. He says, on the way home from work tomorrow, I'm going to stop by my favorite sports bar. And as he opens the door to that sports bar, it's easy to imagine what can happen figuratively behind that door. A lot of great things can happen. So the one guy's at home eating leftover peas, and the other guy's at a sports bar having some great things happen to him. So We're always in the right place at the right time every day. I've been trying to teach this. All right.
Can I
Move on.
No, hold on. I want to say one thing about that. In this room, the reason Laura came up with this idea of doing this is for community. There's a lot of you guys looking for jobs. There's a lot of you guys looking to raise money. The person's in this room. So at the end of this event, like, talk to the people around you. Don't be shy. Don't run for the door and go home and say, oh my God, I survived tonight. You're literally at the right place at the right time tonight for this event. All right, listen. Oh, of course.
Whoa, good one.
Hashtag positivity.
I'm fucked up now.
Listen, you sort of teased it. So I think the next logical question is, you guys talk about two of your greatest failures. How much money you lost, what you invested in, what the mistake was, all of it. Or just one. It doesn't really matter.
Look, I've made bets in the technology industry that have been more about technology than about founders, or about ideas than about founders, and those are the ones that have failed. When you're not able to, when you're thinking, hey, this is the best idea, or this is something that's definitely going to happen as an idea, but you're not super psyched about the person who's running it, you're making a mistake. And you have to be thrilled about the person who's leading it, the people that they surround themselves with. And I'm going to not mention the most particular one that I think about was a financial services company, and a number of other people.
Can't miss on paper, but
yeah, you have to be able to trust the team to build things out. And we had incredible investors around the table. We had a great, story on paper, but our people could not execute.
not going to give us the name of the company?
No, it's not. I'm going to be a little bit.
You want to talk about the money lost or not?
Here, but it was a competitor of Robinhood and Public.com, and it was a bit too early, but ultimately the management was the problem.
So mine isn't.
Give us all the details.
Okay, so during the pandemic, when no one was flying, this 20-year-old entrepreneur flies to my house. I introduced him to David Sachs, who's now czar of crypto and AI. I introduced him to Sky Dayton. I introduced him to...
By the way, we're going to talk about crypto in a second. I want you to know, tonight's called Crypto Zombies. We're going to talk about crypto. Go ahead.
So Chamath wouldn't even take a meeting with him. But it was during the pandemic. And so he's, I need a new idea. Now, I had a sheet of paper in front of me, $30,000 for 5% of the company. So I remember sitting in front of my computer and saying, not today. And then tomorrow I looked at it. I'm like, the banks are closed. I looked at it 3 days later. It's 30,000, mind you. I'm sending out 100 here, 200 there. And then someone on our billionaire stream, I call it affectionately, bet a lot of money on the direction of the stock market. It's going to hit here before it's going to hit here. I told Shane, and then Shane left my house and he started Polymarket. So Shane will admit, hey, yeah, I came up with the idea at Phil's house. He did make these introductions. And so Shane reminded me that my 5% would be worth 800 million.
Wait a minute. Why didn't you didn't spend the 30 grand?
No.
Come on, Phil.
What? I thought we were talking about failures. I thought we were talking about failures up here.
Oh my God.
Hey, can you explain for the folks what Polymarket is? Because it's really expanding.
Is there someone that doesn't know what Polymarket is?
There's a handful. All right.
There's only like 7 people in the
I'm gonna
room.
raise my hand too. Tell what Polymarket is.
I mean, Polymarket is Shane's thesis was, I need to have a reliable predictor for what's going to happen next. The only way to get a reliable predictor, we see Democrats poll, when the Republicans poll, and then somebody else who's a genius polls, and the numbers are all off. So how about if we get to the bottom of this? For example, who did we remove at the country down south? Who was it?
It's Maduro.
Venezuela. About 18 hours before Maduro was taken, a bet appeared on Polymarket that Maduro would be taken. The guy asked for 12-1 odds, and he bet whatever, $30,000, and people laid him 12-1. And then, of course, Maduro was taken. That was an insider leak. That is encouraged on Polymarket.
Oh.
People, we want to know the truth of what's coming and what's happening. I'm not a Polymarket investor, but that was his theory. So
Could have been. Right.
Hey, Chris.
So,
how
but
do you-
this gets us into crypto because the back end of Polymarket is Alchemy, my company, which I angel.
Tell everyone what alchemy
that
is. Real also
takes
started
the
from your home,
the
too.
smart contracts that chains.
you're a lot richer than I am.
That's true.
I'm doing okay. I think he's doing okay. But it takes smart contracts and sets them up on Ethereum, and you're betting effectively that things are going to go a certain way when you buy into the contract and into the yes or no contract on each of these propositions. And it's an incredibly powerful thing. It's now a multi-billion-dollar company. It's got a competitor
18 billion.
Kalshi. It has a competitor called
Kalshi, Prize Picks, a lot of them have. So you basically can bet on anything at any time, which, we have a lot of degens age 17 through 25. But it also points in a direction of what could happen next. So
Well, and interestingly enough, one of the ways that things have expanded lately, if you listen to sports radio at all, as everything gets ready for the Super Bowl this week, on sports radio, every Kalshi and Polymarket are advertising extensively, basically because they're allowing for sports propositions, and this is something that's gotten around, arguably, the prohibition on sports betting.
before you get me in trouble, Bet Rivers is the site that I represent.
Okay,
Plug them. Plug back.
Polymarket is in every state. We're in like 16. So,
but
All right, let me ask one question about Polymarket, because we're all sort of taught to not leak. And if you know something is going to go through the roof, you sort of can't disclose it. So from an ethical standpoint, Chris, you being a lawyer, is this okay?
So the insider trading rules will apply to these sites in some meaningful way, and the question is how. And the question is, have they done has there been a technical violation of what the classic kind of anti-fraud provisions?
I'm Shamath and you're the lawyer. Go ahead.
Exactly.
This will not happen.
It will not have exactly, but it will. Some regulator will figure out a way to go after it in some meaningful way. That does not mean that they will succeed, though.
Here's the interesting thing. If somebody puts a completely random bet out on one of these sites, Kalshi or whatever, I don't think that they're making a lot of money.
right.
And then if a random bet appears, people are like, wait a minute, why did this bet appear? And so I don't think that a lot of money is made from insider trading.
Right.
Because like if you just suddenly out of the blue say, oh, we're going to capture Maduro in the next 3 weeks, and the guy's only wants 20-1, you might want to say, wait a minute, oh my God, who is this guy and what's he posting about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and understanding this and understanding the dynamics of this there's a great South Park episode about this. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but
Chris is a South Park
it's worth checking
trivia
out.
master, just so you know. All right. Well, so me, Nick, Chris, and a guy named Bryn. Is Bryn still in the room?
Bryn was here.
He was hiding out.
Yeah,
We actually do another show called Crypto Zombies, and the reason tonight's happening is because of Chris, and we met Phil at Chris's house. So I think we should talk about crypto.
Was that your house?
That's my house.
It's a nice house.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Very nice house.
Let's talk about crypto and blockchain for gambling and sports. Chris, Phil, you guys have both spent time. You've spent time with the leaders of Kraken and Coinbase. What separates the crypto companies that survive from those that become zombies? Like what's the secret sauce there?
I mean, I do think that Polymarket and Kalshi are the two that are sort of pursuing this in a somewhat regulated fashion. But of course, Polymarket Shane had his own trouble with the last administration, where he was essentially arrested right before election
By the
day.
FBI.
By the FBI.
5:30 in the morning.
And exactly, it sort of marched out in his underwear and the whole 9 yards, and it wasn't. But everything's been dropped now, which is I think a good change and a positive step forward. But there will be a whole bunch of competitors that spring up, and the question is who can get to scale. The way that they're trying to compete with a lot of the existing sports betting sites, including some that may be backed by people on this panel, is by tonnage, is just by being out there and by advertising and connecting online and by the spreading of the bets. And their crypto rails beneath them is going to be critical to their being able to scale effectively.
Right. I would say picks and shovels, right? So I had a friend of mine who seeded Coinbase I don't know if he wants me to mention his name, but he did well. And then,
Speaking of bets, what about
and they just took BitGo public too. So
okay, that's a big win.
yeah.
And so, what about the world of gambling and in professional sports? And obviously, it has kind of an interesting history with Mike Rose and all the rest. But where is it today, and what's happening tomorrow?
Yeah, what's the holdup with the NBA? By the way, Chris is pointing on to the Sacramento.
Yeah, so putting the sports hat on here, the NBA has historically been pro gambling and said, in fact, we think that people should be able to.
Has the NFL been pro
The
gambling?
NFL has not been pro gambling. I think that there's been some evolution in their perspective over time.
Yeah. Why do you think we watch these two random teams play on a Thursday night when they're in last place?
No, that's interestingly enough.
NFL figured that out.
they did indeed. So every game becomes important when you can hit your phone and put a bet on the game or on the prop. Is your quarterback going to fumble the ball? And all of these parlay bets.
Last night I put a picture I was with Stanley Tang and he started DoorDash and we were placing a bet as we were on the floor of the Warriors game and someone was filming us, so I put it out with DGen ? And yes, we did. We bet.
But you're sitting on the floor of the game.
We bet our friend Draymond Green to score over 9.5 points, but he didn't.
He didn't. So.
Yeah, I have another friend who had a bet like that, and he told the NBA star, "I'd bet on you to score over," and then the guy got the points. I would never do that.
Well, and obviously this has been one the basis of the scandals that have hit lately have been situations where a player would tell his buddies that he was going to essentially go down after 5 minutes.
Right.
And his buddies would all take the under on his point total for that night.
Again, it didn't add up to much money, but
It doesn't add up to much money at the end of the day, but then they split the money later on. There are all these, sort of weird parties afterwards. And it's like, it's like,
Get through the game.
Yeah.
they've gotten, lifetime bans for it. And that's unfortunately the way that you have to enforce these things is to say, you get education up front. And, we also, our group at the Kings, we also bought the Giants AAA team in Sacramento. Major League Baseball, because of its history with Pete Rose and a bunch of different things, has like an anti-gambling education that everybody associated with the league has to go through. And we as new owners of the AAA team even had to do it. And it's a pretty extensive program. So all of the leagues are adopting these as gambling becomes more prevalent.
you came in with Vivek and the Kings?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Do you want to own a team?
No, but I mean, Vivek texted me today, actually, because we got
Roger Craig into the football.
Right.
I mean, it's been publicly announced now, so we can talk.
Yeah, Roger Craig is in the.
And Roger worked for Vivek at Tibco after he retired.
Vivek texted me and he said, "Look, here's Shaq praising, Roger. Hey, will you do a video?" And I did because
I'm glad you did.
He deserved it.
Roger's a delightful human being.
You guys, we're going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience. So, Phil, you can either talk about your $650,000 bet or your book. Which one?
I don't really.
Hold on, who wants to take the over under on which one?
Yeah, exactly. Is there a poly market on what Phil's gonna?
It's very meta right now. Polymarket's talking about Polymarket.
I don't even think I have the name of the stock that I bet 650,000. Did I give it to you?
You need a better attorney.
Look it up.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just mentioned it for 2 seconds and then we can move on to the book.
Were you drunk last night when you texted me?
I haven't.
You don't drink.
I don't drink, but I've never had an issue with drinking. It's just like I go into atrial fibrillation if I drink. So, so it kind of made me quit 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. TLGYF. Okay. So
What is that?
basically it's one of these plays where, where the, what's it called? The treasury is made of coins.
Okay.
So I saw this at 16 cents. So I just started buying and because it's options. So basically it's a SPAC, right?
Yep.
But if the SPAC gets renewed, the options have a 5-year period. So I'm like, oh my God, these could be worth $20 each. I'm buying them at 20 cents each. So I started buying. Then they announced the deal. I was made very clear. I talked to my attorneys. I didn't have any inside information at all. And then what happened was
material non-public information is the legal term that he has to not have in order to
right. I don't know, we're wasting time on this, but so then So then what happened is when they announced the deal, it went to $1. And I'm like, wait a minute, these things should be worth more than $1. Because if it gets done, it has a 5-year period. So I'm buying options, which can expire at any time. And then, so I just kept buying more at $1 and $1.20. And next thing I know, I had $650,000 bet on this thing. And then crypto started falling. And now I'm like sweating because like, I didn't think I could lose all of it, but I need the I need the SPAC to close and then they could go anywhere because now 5 years is a long time. We're talking about Athena, which has 6.5 billion coins out there. So stable coins. Anyway, okay, that's enough of that.
No, I mean, crypto's in an interesting space right now, too. It's like
all tokens are getting killed right now for a bunch of different reasons.
I noticed it's 13 cents. It was like 50 cents for a while.
They say that the tourists are leaving, the builders are staying. Yeah. It's just maybe, you guys agree?
For somebody who's been in crypto for 8 years now, when the Alchemy guys pivoted from Down to Lunch, which was a social startup, to providing infrastructure for crypto companies, first for Ethereum and then Bitcoin and then all the
picks and shovels.
Picks and shovels. You're exactly right. And so we all kind of went degen together, and it's worked out incredibly well. But we've been through these crashes 5 times in the last 8 years, and it always comes back. I mean, the big ones always come back. What I've told friends who are like, well, should I accept crypto in payment for real estate or anything else? I'm like, if it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, yeah, you probably should. I mean, it's certainly at the right time.
Agree.
Other than that, it's speculative. But yeah.
All right, we're going to open up to the audience. Do you have our first question?
Did he know that he was going to get picked? He always has good questions. Okay, go ahead.
By the way, don't be nervous to ask a question. Just throw it out.
Be nervous. I'll get mad at you.
Okay, I'll try my best. So, Phil, Polymarket came out from the founder meeting you. In the spirit of like you inspiring that, he didn't decide to give you 5% of the company?
I in retrospect, at first I was like, wait a minute, I made these intros. I didn't send my money in. So technically, and I was like, maybe he should have given me a little slice. Maybe should have given me, 1/10 of 1%. But after looking at our tech stream, I was kind of mad. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He was right. So Shane didn't do anything wrong.
All right. Anyone else? Anybody else? Right.
When you're big. All in podcast.
On the topic of Jason Calacanis and Chamath and all those guys, do you go to them?
Oh my God, you really went for it. Where are you from? I like that.
London.
Okay, fire away.
Do you go to them just to play poker for advice? And also, if you want to one up Jason, he invested in my company. If you want to, just saying.
Fill right now.
You got 15 seconds. You
got 45 seconds. Okay.
And it's an agentic knowledge system for marketers and designers and creatives. It's essentially a place to keep all their bookmarks together in one space. It's like Dropbox, but instead of heavy images, files, and videos, online content, which is an untapped market.
Oh, I like that. It's like Dropbox. That got my attention right there. Well, we can talk later. I will give it. I will connect anybody. I will connect. So
that's how these things happen. Nice pitch.
So what is exactly the question, though? I will say this. Yeah, Chamath. So I remember it was like 2008. And I was at dinner at the Aria with my parents, my wife, and my sons. And this ragtag group that included Sheryl Sandberg came up to me, Dave Goldberg, rest in peace, Chamath. And they're like, Phil, this is how I make fun of Chamath. Phil, we live in your neighborhood. Here's some lucky socks. I should have worn those socks. I didn't. And then that kind of developed to me playing in their very small stakes game. And then Chamath and I started competing with each other. And I thought, wow, he's up 25,000. I'm losing 15. It's hard to play small stakes. I'll never catch him. And then one year I won $1 million in that game. So I caught him. Once the stakes got real, then the real Phil showed up, right? Now they accused me of the long hustle. The long con. Phil, you used to long con. You hung out with us for 6 years.
The long con.
The long con, they call it. Yeah. Because you hung out with us for 6 years before they all billionized. And so, but I learned a lot from those guys. And so being at the table is like, for those of you, does anybody watch the All In podcast? Raise your hand if you do. Oh, not that many people.
I'm sure there's more.
It's the top 3 podcast in business in the world, but it's Chamath, it's Jason, David Sachs, and Friedberg. And so they basically took our poker table discussions and went, and I'd watch some talk about something, and I'd watch Jason taking all the language, and then he'd spout it all on CNBC the next day. And I'm like, okay, Jason, you're really smart. But yeah, I learned a lot from those guys. Almost every time, like the deals that they talk about, the future, where they think things are going. And then because they became my best friends, because I became associated with them, same thing with Chicago billionaires and the New York billionaires, all through poker. Then I formed a network, and the network then became valuable for founders. Founders are my people. It's like for some reason there's a connection there. So I advise 36 companies now, and now I'm helping some of the world's best founders. And like, how do they choose me? Yeah, so I get a little bit. I know that on the one hand, I could say I can add 1% to a company of value in my sleep. I can say that confidently. But on the other hand, there's a little bit of what do they call it? The syndrome when you don't feel like you belong. What's that? Imposter. There's a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes that occurs when we're with Elon Musk in Italy or whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? And so, but everybody in our group kind of faces a little bit of imposter syndrome, and it makes you real and honest, I think. So yeah, you guys all perceive me as cocky, but I have a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes.
That's what.
Wait, is that your boss?
No.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi, Phil. We all have imposter syndrome. This is true. Poker face.
All the aware people have imposter syndrome.
Yeah, agreed.
There are very few that can walk out there and feel like they belong, and then I wonder what it looks like behind the scenes for them. Continue.
So poker face at your level, is it a thing? Is that just very amateur level stuff? When you hear poker face, it's a coined phrase. Like, what does that speak to you? Like at your level, I feel like everyone's in a zone. You're not really looking at each other, or are you? Like,
there's two things that I think of when I think of, like, I like to wander to percentages. So what percent of people on the planet Earth, two questions. One, what percent actually get shit done? Like, will actually be able to finish a lot of work, right? And so we think that number might be around 4 or 5%, very small number. And I'm gonna throw in a third one as a bonus. The second one, what percent of people can read people well? Now I'm starting to wonder if it's a neighborhood of like 2%, like for great reading abilities. Would I say maybe that women are more intuitive sometimes at reading? Oh, wait, I just got canceled. So I'm not going to say that. And then the third one is, what percentage of founders run their company well? And after discussing with a lot of people, one of our friends owns 25 companies outright now. We think that's in the neighborhood of 1%. So the reading ability is a very small percentage of people that are great at it, is what I've discovered. So when I teach people how to play poker, and then I'm like, well, if you look strong, and they're, well, what do you mean if you look strong? And then I had to invent a term, white magic, because I was trying to explain to somebody why I didn't go broke. I had a hand, I had ace 10 suited, and most of you aren't going to follow this. And then the small blind moved all in, and I have to call. The math says it's an easy call. But I started talking to him, and I kind of hinted that I had ace 10, which you can legally do. You can't tell me you have ace 10. I'm like, I can't beat ace jack. It's the same thing as saying you have ace 10. And I could tell then that he relaxed. He wanted me to call. And so at that point, I saved my entire stack and went on to make a final table, whereas almost everybody would have gone broke in that spot. I was trying to explain it to one of the super geniuses. And I'm like, no, I read him. And he's like, what do you mean read him? And I'm like, this must be like black magic to these kids. What the hell? And so I'm like, all right, I'm not a black magic guy. I'm kind of a positivity guy. So I just started saying I have white magic, meaning that I have reading abilities. Now that's morphed into a lot of other things, but at the core of it, white magic. So I think I've been lucky to have some reading ability.
Excellent.
Hi, Phil. One last comment. When you have reading ability, you can do amazing things, right?
What do you have in the end?
Like, I didn't see the hand, but I didn't have to. I knew it's like when I'm on ESPN and I have ace king and it comes ace 7-7 and I fold and the whole world freaks out. It's because the guy was talking too much and doing all this weird stuff, and he just had to have aces. And so then that could save your life. If you save a couple lives, it's going to add up to, 17 bracelets.
Any other words?
All right, that was a little cocky. Go ahead.
17 bracelets so far.
Yeah, I have a lifetime goal, of course, 24.
Hi, Phil. What is the best example of a guaranteed win that you've heard of from a trading bot on Polymarket? And as an example, I would something that I read online was someone bet on the weather, and then the weather service updated what the weather was hours later, and as soon as the weather hit, they put the money in for it was guaranteed to be 80 degrees out, and then when it updated, they won the bet. And so they're taking advantage of the fact there's a delay in information. Are there other examples of something like that that you've heard of on Polymarket that people could take advantage of?
There are weird things like you hear about, like, you know, how many ships have been built in China to, like, I mean, things that people don't know. And then, like, taking advantage of hidden information makes sense, and then makes it more public on top of it. So I think the Maduro one was kind of interesting, right? Someone popping up into Polymarket, they're going to capture Maduro and within a week and get laid 20 to 1 on it. That seemed kind of somebody somewhere, you know. With that? He got arrested? Oh, he probably should have been arrested because that borders on national security. Thank you for the update. I hadn't heard that. Okay, so I'm going to withdraw that. Because that's guaranteed money, yes.
That's a regulator wanting to make sure that the insider trading rules are enforced, even in new markets, right? Yeah.
When the FBI shows up at your door, it doesn't really feel like guaranteed money.
No, seriously, and you know, then Shane knows that, unfortunately, right?
Hey, next question.
Hey, Phil.
Yeah, we talked before. My question was more, you were talking about some percentages.
Where are you from?
Germany.
Germany. Okay, that's right. You told me that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And my question was more like, you said reading people's like great ability, and you said like there's 1-2% of people maybe that are really good founders and run their companies well. Would you say like, is this one of the core skills, and what else would you say is like one of the core skills that really builds a great founder? That's my question.
Hard work for one thing, right? I mean, like having the vision. Like, I mean, some of the best investments. Where's Rob? Rob, are you here? Rob, put your hand up. Rob started this stupid ass company. I invested my money.
What is it?
And hold on. And then what happened was we were acquired by a rocket ship. And so what did Rob do? He pivoted once, he pivoted twice, he pivoted 3 times. And now we have a piece of fast break AI, which name a league in the world. Any league, soccer, anything.
La Liga, Bundesliga.
Yes. Yes, NFL, NBA, we do the schedule for all of those leagues. Every schedule, so I mean, like, and it, you know, this laborious process of someone sitting in a room for 6 months, only to get to the end and say, "Oh my God, this team can't be there on a whatever."
Yeah, on a Thursday night
A Thursday night, exactly what I was thinking. You took the words from my mouth, and then all of a sudden, we can do the NBA schedule. It might be in 18 minutes now or something because I bought all of the software, and so Rob the Wolf, thank you, Rob.
Hey, Phil, I'm a big fan. I have a question for both of you. Is that okay? All right,
Start with Chris.
for Chris. So you're big on, both of you guys are big on Polymarket, right? You guys making any picks for this weekend?
So I actually don't bet on sports at all.
Boring.
Exactly.
Hold on. Let me. Chris, do you not bet on sports because you're not allowed to, or because?
So I can't bet on basketball. I can bet on other sports, but I choose not to because for simplicity reasons.
That's an explanation I buy. Yeah. So even the team owners can go to Vegas and bet.
No, I play poker and I play blackjack in Vegas, and a couple other table games here and there. But I like to gamble. But sports I don't do.
First of all, I make all my bets. Bet Rivers. What's the question?
So are you betting or no?
Yeah, I'm betting. Yeah. I like Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle.
It's
Seattle.
right now they're 4.5 point favorites.
Yeah.
And it's stuck at 4.5. I think a few years ago Vegas moved the line, and then they got middled and they lost $1 billion. So I think they're just keeping it at 4.5. I think, and we spent an hour talking about this today on my show. I think New England is a little overrated.
Yeah.
They had the easiest schedule. They had to have 2 snowstorms to beat 2 really good teams. They had to have somebody else choke. And so I think it's a mismatch. I think it's going to be a 17-point win, but I'm not claiming that I'm very good at betting sports. All right. So I'm very good at like predicting how many teams going to win during a season. Week to week, I've been terrible. So you probably shouldn't listen to me.
No, I actually agree with most of the analysis there. And I do sports analysis. And if I were betting, I would bet on Seattle.
And then final. How's your relationship with Phil Ivey?
Oh, love Phil Ivey.
And Daniel Negreanu?
Love Negreanu. He sent me, oh man, where's my phone here? Where'd my phone go? Oh, Alan has my phone. Yeah. Negreanu sent me like a love letter the other day, which was great. So, like a love letter. And I was like, what?
It's historically been a little contentious. Maybe you could kind of share with the.
Well, no, Daniel has never, all he's ever attacked is the way I play poker. He's never attacked me personally in any other way. I respect that. You don't like the way I play poker? That's fine. And then I won a couple more world championships. Then the voice is a little smaller. Then I won a couple more. The voice. And so, but Daniel is great for the game. And I know that he's always loved me, but he's has trouble expressing it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Jealous, maybe a little bit of jealousy.
maybe a touch of jealousy, but I mean, I think, I think he's a great player. I have a lot of love for him. But it doesn't mean that he hasn't attacked me in the past about, he's also defended me. I do these entrances where this year I'm coming in as da 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 da. Oh, that sounds way too much like yes. Well, Superman, I'm coming in as Superman this year, and Daniel's really he defended my entrances. Some of the other top players are like, oh, Phil, he causes 5 minutes worth of noise and it affects the way I think. And I'm like, you went public with that shit? Don't you understand, top professional poker player, that because Daniel and I bring in 20 or 30% of the audience, you make 20 or 30% more? Shut up. Put your earphones in during my entrances and don't criticize me.
You also came out as Caesar too, right? Were you on
Caesar? Caesar was one of my favorites. That was one of my favorites. Yeah.
All right,
Hi. Were you ever involved with party gaming, party poker? So I was the person who built the product back in the day.
You built party poker. Oh my God. I hope you had a piece.
I was 10th employee, part of the product.
Did they give you stock?
Structure. Yeah, I did.
You're very rich.
I didn't stay till the end, but yeah, I was.
You're not as rich.
Kinda, not so much. But yeah, it was a phenomenal run.
It was a phenomenal run. Mike Sexton was involved from the early stages, and Mike, made decamillions from that. Rest in peace, Mike Sexton. Another guy who was great for our game, who I have a lot of love for. But yeah, they used to laugh at Mike and I. Because Mike would wear like a shirt and say sponsorship coming to poker, and I'd go public saying sponsorship coming to poker, and all the other players laughed at us. I would fly to Vegas just to do like a piece with what are these TV shows extra? I would fly to Vegas, fly home the same day, and everybody's laughing at me. They're not laughing now.
No, so yeah, the question is, we're all attempting to, just like with Go and chess, removing the human from the equation entirely. I think poker is pretty ripe at this point. While we do it for pleasure, but truly from a game standpoint. So where do you stand on that right now?
Well, poker hasn't been solved yet, but they're going to tell you that if you play one-on-one poker with someone, that you'll never beat the computer. And there is some truth in that. The computer never gets tired. It's been fed perfect strategies for a long time, but define perfect strategies. They didn't play me. The computer did beat a lot of players. And to me, all those theories, which are brilliant, a lot of them, like, you have to understand that I saw all the bad theories in 05 and then in 10 and then in 15 and then in 20, and everybody's swearing by these theories. And so to me, imagine a flock of birds and they all flock this way. But imagine this, there's someone who's an outlier. That player doesn't play according to their code. They shoot the bird and then he merges. So at the end, you have all these people all going the right direction. Well, they were going the wrong direction, which is very good for me. I just kept winning world championships. And then they went the wrong direction again. Solvers are pretty good, but you still have to have the human equation, and reading people still very important to what I do. And so whatever mathematical formulas they've been using over the years, I will take the time to kind of learn what they're doing just so that I can use it against them.
Just real quickly, what makes you so good at reading people? They say like los ojos son las ventanas por las almas. Like the eyes are the windows to the soul. Are you looking at people's tells, their body language? What makes you so good at reading people, Phil?
Also experience, right? Like you see somebody do something and they have a great hand, and then you see the same person do it again. We'll repeat that. I've been professional since 1983. And so you see a lot of the same motions. You're like, oh, weak, oh, strong, and then you can act on it. So but I think the eyes are important, the way they move, the way they put the chips in. So you might see the same guy raise 30 times in a row. He puts in the chips exactly like this every time. And you notice he has it every time. And then he finally says raise and he throws them and you're like, something's wrong. So, and there's sometimes, you guys will laugh at this. Sometimes there's the wrong. So in other words, like sometimes I'm like, all right, there's something wrong. I'm all in. Oops, they happen to have aces. So having pocket aces, the best possible hand, and hold them creates a reaction, right? It's if you're good at reading people, you're always going to know something is going on. But I wasn't probably playing enough hours to, so occasionally I've looked dumb by moving into but I'm more of an instinct player. Like I know the value of the hands, I know the math, but to me, understanding, when to put your entire tournament at risk, whether you're bluffing or whether you're calling a bluff with a very weak hand, my mind has to tell me call or go for it.
Back here.
All right. Hi, Phil. I'm Sarika. And I'm loving the theme of, reading people and eyes are windows to the soul. I'm a meditation and energetics coach, and I help take people deep into their soul and tap into their heart, like what lies in there. So I really want to understand from you, do you meditate, and how do you develop this sixth sense or intuition? What is your, tools and techniques that you use?
Hold on. Before you answer that, are you teaching a meditation class here next week?
Yes, I am. There is a meditation circle here, sound bath.
In this room?
In this room.
Perfect.
Yes.
And can people still sign up?
Yes, there is.
All right, Phil, back over to you.
I mean, I started doing meditations when I was young, and then my mother got me into other meditations. So we started doing we'd go swim with dolphins, and and then do kind of I forget the name of it, but so I learned to meditate 3 or 4 different ways. There's the meditations I can do where I feel like I'm going into, the ground. And then there's meditations where I feel like, and there's sometimes I'm talking to an animal when I meditate. I haven't done much of that the last 10 years. Shit, I need to work on that. And then
there's a class here for that.
Yeah. And then I like meditation. I think it's good for people in general, and probably I need to do more of it, especially recently.
All right.
Ooh. I think that's a great observation. I think Elon Musk would agree with that too, because people are freed up from the burden of working. They can free up their imaginations. And by the way, I still believe in America. Like a lot of people are like, America sucks. Well, no, I talked to a 22-year-old founder today who's raising at 600 million. And I talked to a 23-year-old, like 26-year-old Isaiah, who's building nuclear reactors. I mean, the company's probably worth 10 or 20 billion. And so I see a lot of opportunity around me and a lot of opportunity. And it makes me feel good as I read about all these 20-year-old kids, that are all over San Francisco, creating $100 million companies. There's a lot of room for wealth in America right now.
We have great founders like Hassam, who's building community with Buzzable. Round of applause for Hassam. Right. We're gonna do one more question, and then I want to ask the final question. So,
thank you for all the great information. How old were you when you first started playing? And I'm new to poker, so what was the most memorable hand you ever had, and why?
Great.
Well, I started playing professionally when I was 19, I think. I was in Madison, Wisconsin, and I started playing poker. And so I think I made $600 one night. Wow, what a lot of money to make. And I slowly lost it back, but I didn't pay my tuition. So I ended up working they'd send this yellow bus for us and we'd go into the fields. I did that for a couple of months, and I took my paycheck and I'm like, wait a minute, poker's better. And from that point, at maybe age 19, I started making money at poker. It wasn't always straight up, but it's been a lot of straight up since then, but a lot of learning along the way. You have to constantly learn and innovate. It's very important. And so you have to understand what everybody else is doing. And then in my profession, there's not just Hold'em. There's like 7 or 8 other games. And so the masters of those games will talk to me because I'll help them with Hold'em. And it turns out that I can't help them quite as much as they can help me because they're giving me mass strategy questions. And most of my answers are based on what did you think your opponent had? But it's helped me a lot. So I became world class in a lot of different games. And for me, learning is fun, right? Learning about industries. When you advise 36 different, you spend a lot of time learning. Okay, there's a movie about my life. All right, how do I make money? There's a TV show. And so that's kind of fun for me to learn all of that stuff all the time.
All right, this is the final question. By the way, Phil approved this question, so don't think I'm asking funny. You're known as the guy who's never cheated on his wife, which is rare at your level with fame and the temptation all around you, especially Vegas. What's the secret to a fruitful marriage when success amplifies every weakness?
She's always right. No. There's a lot of truth in that, but no, I mean, I think you have to stick to it, right? Like my wife and I, there's a very famous book that was written. Unfortunately, I don't know the name. And isn't that awful? But it can tell you, they learned in the late 90s that if you could listen to 2 people talk for half an hour, they could predict the chances of you lasting. And they cut it down to like a minute. And my wife and I were part of the 13% that wasn't supposed to be together, which means there was a lot of conflict, a lot of miscommunication. But we had so much love for each other that it just made us so, what they don't talk about is that 13%, you grow a lot. And so, she was ready to leave me in whatever, 2000. And I'm like, fuck. My wife, she's a black belt. She's a Stanford doctor. She looks amazing to me, blah, 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 blah. The mother of my children. And she said, but she was smart. She said, but I'm going to give you a chance. We're going to therapy. So we spent 3 hours a week in very intense therapy. And then it made me grow because as my primary relationship improved, every other relationship improved. So now, all right, now you're learning to listen to your wife better, which of course I was bad at. And then you listen to your friends better, and then they all notice it. And every relationship gets better and better and better. And so I think that, for us, we don't like to leave the room until we kind of finish the discussion. And then as you get older and wiser, all right, all of a sudden the screaming stops. Well, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And then all of a sudden a little of intensity, a little less intensity as you go to where now I've learned that it's taken me a long time to get it drilled into my head that I don't want to win an argument. You know what I mean? And that's not what she's even like. Yeah, I brought her something the other day and I'm like, honey, you're going to be so proud of this, so proud of this. But she was kind of having a bit of a frustrating day, and she snapped back with something. And I think in the past I would have been like, my God, I just tried to make your life easy. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. She has something on her mind that she needs to hear me. So I kind of sat back and stepped away and then she did. And so we had a nice talk and I felt kind of proud of myself. I'm like, yes, we're getting better and better. But it's a 2-way street too. So for us, it hasn't been easy, but we've both improved each other. And I think that helps in poker too. Think about how much that can help me in poker if I'm understanding our relationship better. Then, so.
Awesome. Well, this has been so fun. Let's have
so much fun. Delightful.
Valuable. So perhaps there's like a website or 2 or 3 or 10 websites you'd like to plug for us.
Not really. I mean, I'm proud of my book, Positivity. Like I said, Tony Robbins tells people to buy my book in his advanced seminars. Just 8 life tips. I'm not getting rich from that book, but I think I'm very proud of it. And so that's what I would say. Only available on Amazon. Sell.
Chris, anything you want to plug?
No, I mean, I think we've done a bunch of plugs for Polymarket and for Alchemy, the underlying sort of operations layer. But no, I mean, obviously, I think that I'm gonna get Phil's book. I haven't read your book yet, so I'm looking forward to getting it.
Thank you, Chris.
Guys, this has been fantastic. Thanks again for David from Witty, who's a friend of the show, WITI.com. He's the fellow sitting out front here. And thanks again, and check out SiliconZombies.com. Until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much.
All right.